Another Heritage Signature Auction has come and gone, which means it's time for the quarterly graded sealed games market recap video. This is the first signature auction of 2025, which sets the tone, which gives us a good idea of what might be to come for this year. Let's just start with some overview numbers here, because this signature auction was actually one of the smallest ones that we've had in a long time. In total, there were 197 lots brought to auction, headlined by this 9.8 A++ Pokemon Red Sandshrew first print copy selling for a massive $81,250. This auction did not have a single item break above $100,000 this time around. The total amount of those 197 items sold was $1,663,562, giving us an average lot value of about $8,444, which is actually massive. Borrowing some data from Game Gallery here, that average lot value of over $8,000 is the highest we've seen when compared to 7 of the last 8 signature auctions, which is helped immensely by items like this Ultra 64 prototype controller selling for $20,000. This is an actual Nintendo 64 pre-production controller back when it was still called the Ultra 64. I have no idea how many of these exist in the hands of private collections, but $20,000 for this seems pretty good. This Beast Wars Transmetals on N64 is the highest graded copy ever brought to auction in 9.4 A++, the game being renowned for being a Blockbuster exclusive and seeing a very small retail print afterwards. Yes, you can find Beast Wars both with the Blockbuster exclusive box and without it. There is a variant on Beast Wars, but this copy here became the highest selling copy ever for this game at $37,500. We saw Sculptor's Cut sell for $175,000, so I guess it makes sense that Beast Wars, being one of the other rarest N64 games, also pushes its way up to mid 5 figures here. And this newly graded highest grade copy of Mortal Kombat 9.8 A++, only one that exists, came to auction and sold for a brand new record price paid for any Mortal Kombat video game at $25,000. All of this is taking place in 2025, where no one cares about graded games, hobby's dead, whatever people want to tell you. So despite this auction not having the most items ever offered, or even an item breaking above 6 figures, the overall strength of this auction was really good. And I think most people who participated or watched the auction would agree. There were very few deals to go around, especially on day one. Day one being where we saw the ultra high-end items, where I was giving you guys some examples there. A lot of the ultra high-end market was actually setting brand new high marks or comps that were way stronger than other sales. And this feels like the first time I'm sitting here saying that the ultra high end of the market, call it 5,000 and above, 10,000 or above, the ultra high end actually performed better than the medium end. I don't think I've said that since like 2022, maybe very early 2023. We still saw some high end doing very well. Almost every time I make one of these videos, I have to sit here and say, oh, the ultra high end is still getting lower lows and stuff, but not this time around. The ultra high end actually had a lot of interest this time. This 9.8 A+ Secret of Mana was one of the biggest shocks of the entire auction when it pushed its way all the way to $62,500, which is, it's insane. For those who don't know, Secret of Mana Factory Sealed is incredibly rare. Squaresoft RPG, cult classic, whatever you want to call it, it is a very desirable game. I don't discount that whatsoever. But the last time we saw a Secret of Mana 9.8 A+ sell, it was this WATA copy, November 2023, for almost half. $33,600. This is a monster sale on Secret of Mana. This first print copy left Bros Mario Bros 3, you can see here the Bros is on the left if you're someone who still doesn't know what the heck that means, sold for $37,500, right? This is an 8.5A, so not the greatest grade in the world, still a high grade, but you know, when you don't break above that 9.0, you do usually lose some of the bidders. Some people simply won't settle for an 8.5. Well, this $37,500 almost matches the sale for a 9.0 A+ copy from back in May 2024. $40,000 for the 9.0 A+ versus $37,500 for the 8.5A. Now, I know those two grades don't sound far apart, 8.5 versus 9. They literally aren't, right? Those are very close grades, but perceptually, they're worlds apart. An 8.5 should never come close to a 9.0, especially on such a high-end item like this. A $2,500 price gap is literally literally nothing when we're talking about 40,000, right? And I'm already hearing that in May, at the next signature auction coming up, there will be a 9.6 A+ Mario Bros. 3 Left Bros. So we will very, very, very likely have our next $100,000 video game when that comes to auction. And one last example here, or testament to the strength that we're seeing on the high end, Ken Griffey presents Major League Baseball, right? A great sports title on Super Nintendo, 9.8 A++, highest graded copy ever coming to auction, highest price ever selling for as well at $10,312. But just look at the right-hand side of my screen here. It says sale pending for $20,000. As of today, the day I'm recording this video, someone sent in an offer on Heritage for $20,000, and apparently the person who bought this on February 21st, 1 week ago, they paid $10,000. They are now selling it for $20,000. They are doubling their money on Ken Griffey Jr. There are people in the market watching video games now that are literally paying twice as much 1 week after the auction ends. This type of action on the high-end video games, like I said, it's been years since there's been this kind of movement or excitement or attention being paid to the ultra high-end market. I can hardly participate in this, so I mean, I just get to report it, I just get to look at it, I get to tell you guys about it. I can't afford Ken Griffey Jr. at $10,000, I can't afford Ken Griffey Jr. at $20,000. But it is very interesting to see that some of the whales of the market, maybe some of the people who pushed 2021 to such insane marks, are slowly starting to crawl their way back in. I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the channel before, but this will help me visualize where I think we're at with the market right now. This is the Wall Street cheat sheet, psychology of a market cycle. So it shows here, you go up, you go down, and it shows the thoughts and the feelings that most people who participate in a market get as we go through the market cycle. So over here, as we went up, this would be your 2021. Coming all the way down here would be 2022, all the way to right here, where I would say this spot, depression, where everyone thinks the market's dead, nothing's going to happen. This is the low spot, is where I think we were back in November 2023. Very late 2023, I think this market bottomed out. And if you look at a lot of the sales from November 2023, you see that we actually have a lot of prices going up from there. Now, it is very hard to talk about collectibles as a normal market cycle. This talks about normal NASDAQ, S&P, ETFs, whatever you want to say, right? You could apply this to Bitcoin if you wanted, but again, it's hard when you talk about things that don't have actual underlying expected value, EV, price, what's the word I'm looking for here? When you're not talking about things that have actual market valuation based on earnings, profit, all that stuff. Collectibles don't have any of that. There's no utility behind these items. So even if I show you this market cycle here, anything can screw this up, right? There's a lot of caveats with all of this. But what I'm thinking right now with where we're at, with what we're seeing in the market, is we're somewhere over here on the left-hand side, right between a spot of hope and a spot of disbelief. People are not going to believe the market's going to go up again, and there's people who actually think it might. No longer do we just see prices coming down anymore. We're not at a point where everything's going up, because you can look at the market. I can point out things on day two. There were quite a few things on day two in the middle end of the market that were actually selling lower from comps. Within collectibles, within video games, there's consoles, there's games, there's genres, there's so much stuff that you can always find examples of things that are going one way or the other. But right now, I would say from everything I'm seeing, we are seeing this right here. Right there is what I would circle. It's pretty steady. You can see that there's still some bottoms coming in there. There's candles that are going low, but we're at a very steady, very slight uptick in the market. This is where I would say we are right now with the video game market sealed and graded. And like I said, there's so many caveats with that. As it sits right now, I think Bitcoin's at 85,000. Nvidia just dumped. The NASDAQ is going down. There's so much that can affect a single collectible category like video games, because video games aren't going to direct the market. Video games are at the mercy of the market. Video games are at the mercy of the macroeconomy. So even if I sit here and tell you guys that this auction was really good, things look really good, going into May, I think we have a lot of momentum building. If all of this geopolitical talk, tariffs, if Bitcoin, cryptocurrency crashes, if all of this other things, if all of these other things not related to video games cause issues, then video games will simply also see issue. But within a vacuum, things are kind of looking up here. And I do want to say, if you guys want to view any of the comps that took place, any of the sales that took place at this auction, you can go ahead and make yourself a free account at heritageauctionsha.com. You can sign up and browse their entire archive of auction sale prices across any category you want, including video games. And if you're interested in getting in the next signature auction, that's what I'm talking about here, the best of the best, the biggest auction. If you want to sell with the auction house that continues to get the highest prices in the video game category, you can reach out to VGA.com. You can speak to one of the consignment experts, find out if Heritage Auctions is the right place for you to sell your video game. The next signature auction's coming up in May. There's showcase auctions taking place all year, and of course the weekly auctions that we watch right here on YouTube every single week. That's VGA.com, and a big thanks to Heritage for sponsoring this video. And the other thing I do want to talk about here before we go is that the middle of the market was actually softer than I've seen it be in a long time. That's not to say that every single thing was a deal at the 4,000 range. You know, an N64 qualified console still 4,000. Final Fantasy 8, 9.88++, close to 4,000. The thing is, with a lot of games in this range, usually it is the most competitive part of the auction. But this time around, it actually was presenting more opportunity than usual. This Spider-Man is one I remembered here. It sold for $2,625. This actually did sell for more back in July 2023. It sold for $3,000. I don't think it was the same copy, but it was the same exact grade. So $3,100 2 years ago, selling for $2,600 today. Is it a huge drop? No, it's not, right? But I want to highlight that because there are some things still that are selling for less than they did 2 years ago. And you guys know at this point that I'm doing a lot of consolidation myself. I'm being a lot pickier with the games I purchase. It could be that we're seeing more of that take place in the market as well. It could be that people who were purchasing copies of Silent Hill 9.68+, I think this came down a little bit too, actually, $2,000 here. The last foil copy was nearly $4,000. Oh my god, November 2023. This right here is the non-foil copy. Silent Hill has both foil and non-foil copies, metallic cover, foil, whatever you want to call it. So it could be that people who are in this range here, the $2,000 range, have already bought their grails. People who want to buy Silent Hill have already bought their Silent Hills. People who want to buy Spider-Man have already got them. Or maybe people are now waiting for the 9.8 copies. There's a lot of evidence at this point to say both CGC and WATA games are giving out 9.8 now more than they used to be, which could make us see weakness in the 9.2, 9.4, 9.6 range moving forward as more people become pickier about wanting 9.8s. If 9.8 is now being given out more often, every single other grade kind of has to take a tick down as well, right? It's like how the 10 is being given more. Since the 10.0, the perfect grade, is being used a lot more, even 9.8s aren't as special. So it could be that taking place in this range. People could be getting pickier. It could just be noise. Belmont's Revenge was one as well, where I'm pretty sure this game keeps selling for less every single time it comes up in 9.4A+. Yeah, $2,600, then $2,400. Now it's down to $1,750. It's a great Castlevania title. It's a great cover. It's Belmont's Revenge on Game Boy. For some reason, it keeps selling for less every time it comes up. But this is why on that cheat sheet, I circled this spot right here and not this spot right here, because we are not here. This is not where we are in the market. No shot, bucko. We are in this spot where you still see these very small ones going down. You see some stuff coming up. That is truly where I think the market is right now for sealed and graded video games. And so long as we don't see some kind of economic crash take place through 2025, which it's on the table, man. Recession, downturn, all of that is on the table for 2025. If we don't see that, I think we could see a very, very strong year for the video game category. I can't talk about every single sale in the auction, of course. There's a lot of them, so if you're curious about anything, if you want to know anything, please do let me know. I stream every single Heritage auction live on YouTube every single Tuesday, so if you have questions for me, if you want to know more about the market, please come out to the live streams every single Tuesday. Say thank you to every single patron, help support the channel, as well as YouTube members. I can't do this without you guys, and let me know what you think of the sealed and graded market as we continue our way through 2025. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.